love, peace and love. Welcome to another edition, another beautiful edition of the Fate.org podcast. Thank you again for joining us for another installation, another installment, another chapter in the movement that is Fate.org. And I, as always, am your host, the words myth. Is he real? Is he phantom? Know that I am real, and I am here, and I am streaming to you live, in effect, from my consciousness to yours, direct stream, tethered by love and evolution and growth and community, bound and bonded to each other by the stars from the beginning to the end. Well, we're gonna get right into it, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're gonna talk about a very important topic that often is neglected. Today's show is going to focus on the issue of homelessness in America, and then, of course, at large. Today we bring two guests, Brother Aeon, Phlo, who has been with us before for a second time, and he's coming through with his brother Kevin, and they're going to talk about the situation of homelessness, and not only the perceptions around it, but more importantly, solutions to the problem, as well as the need to and ways to reevaluate and readjust and reconfigure our perception as individuals and as a society regarding this topic and the people who are this topic, because it's not just a thing. It's a topic that the common denominator is people in a situation that need help, a deep help, because the problem is deeper than just not having a house. So without much further ado, I definitely don't want to detract from the conversation, so I'm going to leave it at that. And as always, just so you know, the objective is to have video for every podcast moving forward. So if you're listening to this right now on audio, be sure that there is a video on YouTube, as well as posted to the website, as well as posted on Facebook. If you're listening right now and you want to see the video and you want to see myself and Brother Aeon and Brother Kevin have this beautiful conversation, please do. The opportunity is there. Either way, no matter what the medium, thank you so much again for being present and being here and sharing this time and this space with me, and your energy and your consciousness and your mind. I really appreciate it. It's important. This is important for me, for you, for the soul, for society. So let's do this together. Peace. Let's get into it. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. We are here for another episode of the Fate.org podcast. Fate.org, of course, being the People's Honorable Alliance for Exposing the Truth. We are here today with the incredible Aeon Phlo and Brother Kevin Castillo. They're here to tell us about some cutting-edge, wonderful projects that they're working on in the realms of homelessness. Always great speaking with Aeon and anyone in his circles. So I will let Kevin go ahead and lay the groundwork. What do you guys have going on, Kev?
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you having us on your program and your kind attention. What we're working on presently, we've got a bunch of different projects, but the main thing is to focus on global issues of homelessness. We like to refer to it as houselessness because we all have a home on this planet. And in the neighborhoods that we live in, whether we have a house or not. But we'll just refer to it as homelessness, hunger, and poverty at this time. And we're just presenting to the world that right now we have the technology available, we have the resources, one per day with a 3D printer.
But you're starting to chop out a bit, Kevin.
I'm sorry, hold on one second.
Yeah, the connection is getting chopped.
Let me see if I can take it off speaker or something. Is it any better?
No, it's the signal, not so much the phone. I hear nothing at the moment.
Okay, here we go.
Thank God for edit.
Yes. Kevin, mic check.
Can you hear me now?
Still a little.
Yes.
No, you're still
Very choppy.
Yeah.
Very choppy.
Hold on one second.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Fate.org podcast.
Take 13.
Is this better? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
At the moment, seems,
Okay.
yes.
Good. Well, what we're doing at this point is working with several different advanced technologies to bring forth sustainable communities. And what we're doing right now is putting together an intention and a plan to build 50 houses in 30 days and help people get off the streets. Those without houses, we can help not only provide them with homes. I mean, we can print a home in one day with a 3D printer now. So what we're looking at doing right now is getting two 3D printers and creating a healing village model for the rest of the world where anybody can come. And you don't have to be homeless. I mean, maybe you want to print your own 3D healing village. Maybe we could help you with that. And so what we're doing right now is we want to set a demonstration for the world that we can address all these global issues that we have right now. Hunger, poverty. We have the technology. Within a month's time, we can actually build a village with super gardens built in pyramids and domes. And so therefore the community has food, it's sustainable, and not only that, they can distribute the excess food to the surrounding cities, towns, and states for additional income for their community and to improve their quality of life. And that's what we're looking. Actually, we are doing it. We have a series right now that we're filming called Superstars on the Streets. And it's about people who have not only been at the lowest of low without a home or place to go, anybody that seemingly cares for them, but now they're having supernatural success. Not only have they come off of the streets, they're having supernatural success. And if you check out our website and the films that we produced over the past couple of months, you'll see that we have a pilot series with an amazing man named Phlo Moses, who spent 6 or 7 months, I should say, living behind dumpsters and eating out of dumpsters. And now he's been recognized by Congress and the Senate for his work in philanthropy. And not only that, he counsels with huge corporations like Pepsi and Starbucks and 99-cent store on how to give back to the community and how to have a social impact. So really what our whole intent is focused towards helping people understand that, you know, just because you're on the streets and you're without a house doesn't mean you're worthless. Actually, we want to transform that consciousness and realize that each and every person, no matter where they're at in their life, they can become a superstar too. And that's what the series is focused on, is those people who have actually accomplished some supernatural success in their business, their life, their impact, the social impact they're making in their lives towards helping others in their community. And so we're focusing on that so that we can give an example, like I said, build a model for people, help walk people from that low being on the streets, living out there feeling like nobody cares for you, but having us, observe their journey, and maybe we can help them along the way. And in my experience in my life, there's nothing more gratifying. There's no better feeling than helping another person achieve their goals, achieve their best in life. There's nothing better than that.
Agreed. So, first of all, absolutely beautiful concept, and a great intention of work. And so one of the things I wanted to ask, I guess let's start with, so we talked about 3D printing, and we definitely have feedback. So we talked about printing home houses, as well as geodesic, I suppose, domes or regular domes and pyramids as healing centers and energetic spaces and things like that. So let's start with what kind of materials are the foundation for these printed living and healing places that are going to be 3D printed?
So as far as the homes that we're looking at right now, we're going to be using a lime-based material. The material is changing daily. We're still not in what we would like to be, which is hemp. We'd like to be growing hemp.
That's what I want to see.
Yeah, out of hemp. But right now in the United States, that's still behind the times a little bit. In the UK, they are printing homes out of hemp. Right now, they're only in rectangles. So we want to upgrade that because nobody wants to live in a rectangle.
Definitely not.
People who live in a trailer know what it's like living in a trailer, and we're not interested in that. But we do have some designers on the side too who are producing designs for more of a nautilus shape, as well as several sacred geometry shapes. And that's more what we're interested in. We would really like to build homes that are going to be conducive to the people who are living in them, and creating a space to where they're going to be most productive.
And amplified.
Yeah. And if you're living in a square, your productivity goes out the corner.
Headspace, yep.
Yep. And so that's always been a fact, and we've always known that. And so we're still behind the times. I think we're a year out before we can start doing that in the United States, unfortunately. But in the meantime, what we're looking to do is just really get people into homes. At this point, it's just about upgrading. So, you're coming from the streets. Maybe you're coming from a cardboard box if you're unlucky. Maybe if you're coming from a tent if you're a little bit luckier. And moving them into a space that is for all intents and purposes, it will be fully paid for. So we have another gentleman that we're going to be working with that's going to present a program to the homeless that will allow them to be able to move into these spaces rent-free, and then eventually be able to pay for them completely through the program that he's offering. We're not going to offer this on the program on this show tonight. It will be available through our website, and that's only because there's certain particulars that he's working on that needs to be worked out before we make it public. But
Understood.
The intention is right now just to get people off the streets, get them into a home, and once we get them into a home, they're embodying the whole program, which is a prosperity program. It's about bringing them into a space where they can begin to live and then begin to procreate, not children, but life, and in a way that will, offer them a revenue stream outside of their normal day-to-day activity. And so, at the beginning of this program, because it's the first of its kind in America, we're still going to deal with some, I guess I would say, just to keep it clear, regulations. So in some places, yes, in some places we're going to still deal with some things where we can't go all the way forward. In other places, I'm seeing where they're fully open and they're like, you can have all this land and do whatever you want with it. Some of our contracts, and Kevin can confer this, but some of our contracts are beginning in Tucson. Tucson has been a state that I've been following or a city that I've been following for some time now. About 5 years ago, they began this program where they wanted to take and open up a whole street to the homelessness. And then regulators came in and they said, oh, that's not going to work. So they, basically allowed the homelessness to go into the parks. And then that worked out for a little while, and it's still working in some places, but at the same time, you're still having cops show up, harassing people, right, and creating problems. So now what we're looking to do is create, as Kevin has said, more of a healing center where they can come into the space, they can have a home, they can get well. And they can get really well, not just, whatever it is that they're dealing with, on the face, but whatever they're dealing with on the soul, really getting down deep into their issues, how they got there, what they're looking forward to, even those who aren't looking forward to anything, and being able to offer them some sort of incentive to wake up tomorrow.
I got you. So the program, I know without going into too much detail, would an integral part of that would be the people producing in some way, being part of some type of labor or work initiative within work trade within the community.
Sure. And in the beginning, we're not saying any of that. We're just offering them home. If they sign up and there's one available, they get in. So it's not in the beginning, because some of these people are coming from the street, they have no motivation whatsoever. So they're not going to get up tomorrow and say, okay, what's my job? They're going to get up tomorrow and say, I'm still in a cardboard box.
Right.
Even though they're in a home with everything that they would need to be able to fully, sustain themselves. So we understand that. So, in the beginning, the first people that are coming into this program, it's going to be a kind of a crap shot. We don't know really who's going to show up. We don't really know what kind of motivation they're going to show up with. We don't know if they're going to be playing games. We don't have no idea. But it doesn't matter. If they show up, they sign up, they're in. And our team will make sure that they're fully in. Like, that person will never be left behind the moment they sign their name to that line. They'll be offered every single way that they can get off the streets, that they can become self-sufficient, and then they can eventually become self-sustaining, which is huge. It's not just a word. Self-sustaining is about being able to make sure that no matter what happens in the next 30 days of your life, you don't ever have to ask anybody else for help. You have every single thing you need to pay your cell phone bill, your electric bill, your car bill, your whatever bills are coming in.
So one of the things I wanted to respond to also was, basically the idea of changing the approach and changing our language and communication and perception as a society with people who are in these situations. Exiting the old model, which was a relatively negative a negative perception, and which resulted, of course, or which results often, too often, in negative treatment of these people. But, you know, essentially making them feel a certain way consistently over time, which only compounds the problem, which is why, you know, I definitely felt a strong need to highlight that point that was made earlier by Kevin, you know, about changing the way that you know, the idea and language and perception with people who are houseless and in these situations, which will tremendously speed up the you know, the curve of their reintegration or reawakening or coming back into a safe self-sustainability.
Correct. Would you like to carry on from there, Kevin?
Yeah, that's awesome. We, as far as sustainability is concerned, you know, we have pretty much everything we need in this society today to go forward. It's just the way that we use our resources. And we have,
Absolutely,
you know, a majority of the people, I mean, a minority of the people controlling, you know, 90% or 95% of the wealth in this country and abroad. And then we, you know, and a lot of those people have actually committed to giving away half of their wealth. Now, that's a good intention. I mean, who's going to oversee that? Mostly it's going to be the people who are giving away the wealth, you know, and their own philanthropic organizations. It's a wonderful thing what Bill Gates has done, you know, to help eradicate disease, him and Melinda Gates around the world, you know, childhood disease. I mean, they've done an amazing, amazing job. They've done something that people, you know, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, probably wouldn't even thought of, you know, accomplishing. And that's where we're at now. We have a technological curve, like you said, where we can actually implement this technology to help humanity in such a way where we can actually stop what we might call apocalyptic notions in our heads, the creations of our thought forms that we're, you know, that we're creating in a place of fear. You know, by turning away from the things that we don't want to look at, like people who are on the streets and we don't know how to help them, so to speak. I mean, we can maybe give them some food or some money, and that might help them for the moment or the day. But what are we going to do long term to help ourselves? You know, because it's not just the people on the streets that are living on the sidewalk in front of us that we're walking by every day. If we do indeed live in those cities, it's the fact that we really don't know what to do in most cases. But now, all of a sudden, we have this technology and all of this stories about the end of the world and, you know, the apocalypse, and that we don't know what to do, and they're going away because we do have a technology that can help us, you know, and the movies and the predilections that we have of being in fear that something horrible is going to happen to us, you know, and those, it's actually just the opposite of that. The robotics and the technology that we have available to us today could actually help lift us out of the mess that we've created on this planet. And so, you know, it's just the opposite sometimes of what we think as human beings. We say, oh, we don't know what to do, but then we turn the corner and then there's something that we can do. And that's what we're offering. We want to partner with people around the world right now to resolve these issues, to do something on a daily basis, weekly basis. You know, how can we do this? How can we implement not only the technology, but how can we redistribute resources in such a way to where when we help people, that's actually beneficial and profitable to our community rather than taking away from us. I mean, just because you help somebody, it shouldn't mean that you're losing something. The truth is we're creating something.
Absolutely right.
Absolutely right. Yeah, we're creating a new platform of education where, you know, it's just like it was 100 years ago, where if your neighbor needed a barn, all the neighbors came together and they raised that barn. There wasn't one neighbor saying, oh, well, I don't know if I'm going to get anything out of this. You know, we lived in community.
Right.
And it wasn't that long ago. It was only 100 years ago. Everybody had a garden 100 years ago. Everybody. I don't care if they had a little patch out back of their yard. They had a garden. And this is where we've lost touch. And how we're remembering now and coming back together, because in this global catastrophe that we are in the middle of, you know, we have to make some really strong, effective action to stop this. You know, a few years ago, they were saying, oh, we have, hello, are you there?
Yes,
Can you
I'm
hear me?
here.
Oh, okay, it says, I'm getting a notice saying this meeting no longer has a time limit. Okay, got it.
Oh, wow.
Sorry about that. We have the ability to do this. All we have to do is demonstrate a concern for our neighbor. And I mean, our neighbors could be somebody that could help us in the future. I mean, if you look at the pilot from Superstars from the Streets, Silo Moses has been responsible for helping to feed over 100,000 people.
That's incredible.
You know, and there are other even more incredibly successful people that came right down from Skid Row, living in cardboard boxes, doing drugs. Not all of them do drugs. Not all of them are addicted to alcohol. A lot of people in the streets, 60% of the people on the street are there because of financial reasons, not because they do drugs, alcohol, or they have mental illness. That's not the case. The mental illness is more a social illness. And that's why we see this happening in our society today, you know. It's a global issue. And when you look at our website and, you know, look at the thought forms that we want to project and help people adopt in their lives, you know, there's one thing on there you can quote me, and that is, if 1 billion people gave one thin dime once a week, we'd have $100 million a week to address social issues, global issues. That's $100 million.
Everything would be fixed.
Yeah, we could do
some.
Yeah, so quick too, you know.
Yeah.
And I throw dimes away all the time.
That's right. Every week. If you just did that every week, I mean, goodness gracious. I met with a friend last week, a new associate and friend, and he's like, I've got an angel investor for you. And I'm like, well, I knew that I had to come to this meeting today with you, because there's always just one person that you need to meet with and interrelate with. You know, even if it's just that person on the street there that hasn't had anyone talk to them for months or even years sometimes. You know, people just become invisible on the streets. But we have an opportunity now where we can change the whole energy on the planet just by adopting some new principles in our lives. And they're not really that new. Like I said, 100 years ago, if your neighbor needed you, I don't care what it was, you were there for them. If you had to walk a mile to the next farm because you heard that, you know, a baby was being born, or, you know, somebody was sick, you know, you were there for your neighbors. Well, we have neighbors on the street that are living in the alleys. They're living on the sidewalk. You know, they're being chased away from public places by the authorities because they don't have anywhere to go, and nobody's doing anything about it. Well, there is a huge movement, and that's what I want to say, and I'm so excited to talk about is there's a huge movement across this country right now, and that is to help people obtain housing that don't have houses. I mean, there are cities around the country right now. One is Denver, who has and Tucson, where I'm at right now, we have a work program to help people get off the streets. They hire people in Denver. There's a film on Facebook that's been going around. They hire people to clean up the streets. They give them not only money for their work, but they also give them housing. We also have a program like that here in Tucson, but it's underfunded. And that's what we're looking for, you know, people to help us, you know, make the demonstrations. It's not just a demonstration of, you know, good works and that we can help other people. We can show people how it's profitable too. When you put people in a place of sustainability, then that becomes profitable for the whole community. And if you enter into agreements with those people, hey, let me help you. Maybe you could help me. Maybe we could do this together. Then, you know, there's no difference between us, except, you know, over 50% of the people in this country are in danger from week to week. They live week to week at risk of being homeless or houseless. So that could be anyone. You know, there's millionaires losing their fortunes all the time. Tony Robbins, who is pledged his organization to give 50 million people food over the holidays. And he started that years and years ago with one family, and then two families the next year. And now he's working with Feed America, one of the largest food distribution networks in the country. Actually, it is the largest, and they're going to match what his organization is pledged to do to feed 100 million people over Christmas and Thanksgiving this year.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yes.
Well,
And we can do much more than that. We can do much more than just feed them.
Yes.
You know, we can really bring them into a space where they feel well again, you know, where they can start to feel their bodies. You know, I was homeless as well, so I know what it's about. You know, so I know what it's like to be on the street in Hollywood and not have a place to go. And I slept on roofs. I slept anywhere I could, you know, because on the street level, it was dangerous. Like you could turn a corner and you'd have to deal with 5 different things, everything from a rape to an overdose to somebody doing something stupid, you know. So on the street, it wasn't safe. But on the roofs of these buildings that were closed for business, it was completely safe. And as long as I got up at 6:30 in the morning before they opened up, I was good to go. And I did that for a minute, like 2.5 months. And, you know, so I know what it's like for those people to not have any place to sleep, you know, and that's an interesting thing. Like, just not have a place to lay your head at the end of the night, you know, at the end of the day. And not know what you're going to do tomorrow, not know how you're going to feed yourself, not know, you know, where you're going to go next, not know all those different things, you know. And so what we're offering is a way for those people to get completely well. Like, they come in and we have sponsors that are lined up that said, if they come in and they're dealing with drug addiction, we can help them with that. They're dealing with, you know, society addiction or any kind of societal affliction, we can help them with that. We can bring them out of that state, because it is just a state. It's a state of mind. It's something they've become used to. It's become a habit for them.
precisely.
We want to break those habits, because a habit is just another word for addiction. You know, people have become used to nobody caring for them. People become used to people shunning them. People become used to this feeling that nobody cares what happened to me. And whatever happened to them is like a huge cornucopia of things. It could be everything from landlord showing up one day and be like, oh yeah, I'm going to rent this somebody else for something more. You're out. 30 days, go. And that's a mom with her 3 kids. And she's like, what am I going to do? I don't know what I'm going to do. Can I go find another place for the same price? Is there a place open? You know, there's 90,000 questions to go through her mind. And then 90,000 hours that she has to apply to be able to find the next space for her children to be safe. And that's an exaggeration, of course, but in reality, it feels like that. The stress is so high that for a mother who is looking for a place for her kids, or for any human being who has just lost their job, or has just lost their means, or has just been given some bad news, or has just lost a family member and thus had to lose 2 weeks of work, whatever the reason is that made them homeless or houseless, it's extreme. It's such an extreme that nobody in society is taking notice. They consider them less than because they didn't push harder, or whatever their, rationality is. It's kind of ridiculous in my world. It's like, that person, if you don't know their full story, you don't know the reasons why. So if you don't know the reasons why, you have no opinion whatsoever.
Agreed.
And that's huge, and so what we want to do is adjust that consciousness. And we don't need to adjust it at the societal level at this point. What we want to adjust it is in the human being that is dealing with it specifically right now in the present. And then adjust their own mindset so they can come into a space to where they can say, I am worthy of life, period. I am worthy of life. I deserve to be here. I want to live one more day and see what I can do tomorrow. And I wake up every day. I mean, I've got 5 different companies. I wake up every single day. What can I do today to make any one of these things that I'm focusing on better for the world? And every single one of my companies are all focused on change. Every single thing that I put forth, every single effort that I give is all focused on change, making sure that what it is that the end result that comes out will then produce such a change that will offer another human being a step up, just one step in their health, in their well-being, in their sustainability and self-sufficiency, and then eventually in living, just living a life that is filled with joy and happiness and amazing, just amazing. Like, oh my.
You muted, brother. You muted. You're going on a beautiful talk and you muted it.
Right at the best part.
It's like,
What it is. That's really what it is. It's just about giving them hope.
oh man, we definitely missed like an intense 10 seconds there. I saw the movement. I saw the energy. I saw the passion, and we got no sound. But but you could tell that what you were saying was very, very strongly from the heart and heartfelt.
Damn it!
I know. Just that. But really, the video says it all. But wow, yeah, I think that the focus, the area of focus. Hang on 1 second. Kev, you keep going in and out like non-mute. Okay. The focus on actually, so changing societal perception is actually kind of a secondary byproduct of the real work here, which is transforming the person and the spirit that is that person who's been in that situation up to this point and is ready or willing and able and with the desire to do something about that, and to now have an outlet for that and is fantastic. And there were a number of things once again that you guys said over the last little while that I did want to touch upon. You know, one of them being that of course we absolutely have and have had for a few years now the technologies available to address, and not simply address, but to solve a good number of the problems that mankind is facing today. And needless to say, the money to make those things happen also exists. And so, but also, like you said, these tools, it's just like the money. It really comes down to who has the oversight, who is controlling, who is in the controlling positions on these types of ventures and products and technologies. And I think that's why it's very important, the work that you guys are doing, the work that a lot of other people on our frequencies are doing, essentially taking back the power and in the realms of these solutions in sustainability, to really force a momentum on the people's side, and take the control away from those who would seek only to profit. Um,
You know, I keep coming back to the fact that we all have these programs, you know, and the thought forms that we have about one another are essentially a micro of, or a macro of the micro, which is inside of ourselves. You know, what the things that we think about our worthiness, and if we fail at something, then does that identify us as a failure? Or and how can we get too close to people that are on the streets or in need, because we have such need within ourselves, and we're so close to maybe being on those streets ourselves sometimes. We're a society programmed with fear, and it's up to us whether we want that to be the legacy for our children and the people around us, our communities. We can actually be really happy right now because this technology that we have, it's workable. It's in second generation now. The people that we're working with out of Denmark, they have it done. We can build almost any size building. I'm told that they're building 30-story skyscrapers in Shanghai right now with robotics. Some of these machines only require one person to oversee them. So when you think about it, if you can build a house in one day with one or two people, instead of taking 3 to 6 months, to build a house that won't last, will maybe last your lifetime. But instead, in one day, we can build a house that could last 500 or 1,000 years.
That's right.
We're using concrete ink. We call it ink. To print these houses right now, we're using concrete substrates. But there are other things, too, that we're bringing into play with this technology. One of the people that I just met with this last week, Lift Tech is the name of their company. And they literally have the composition of lime, concrete, everything that you need in your magic fairy dust. I call it this because it's a dust that he can literally lay a road by just adding his compounds to the dirt and pressing it down. It becomes stone overnight. What Mother Nature takes to build in 100,000 years, we can do in 24 hours now. And so,
wow.
We're talking about building out of wood, very Cro-Magnon wood. We're talking about
my field.
concrete now. Concrete is like, the substance of the past, although we can build a lot of really cool things with it. But the substrate that we're looking at now is many times stronger than concrete and literally turns dirt into stone overnight. So this is what we're looking at. We don't have any limitations. What we're looking for is people who are willing to let go of the past programming, let go of the fact that, oh, many people want to be homeless. Well, that's the most ridiculous thing I ever heard in my life. You know,
I was actually going to bring that up. I was going to bring that notion up. Yeah, I wanted to hear what you had to say on that.
Right. Many people say this because that's part of our program. You know, and then some people even on the streets or living in the deserts or wherever they're living in the trees out there, they think also because they're programmed, oh, I want to be homeless because I don't want to deal with all of that. Okay, well, that's a program. And everything that we've learned in the past has been a program by our society, our religion, and our governments. You know, our neighbors and our brothers and sisters and mothers and fathers gave us the programs that they were given. Correct. And therefore we pass them on. Does it mean?
Yes.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I just want to say that's well said. Please continue. The language is excellent. People need to hear that.
Yeah, we don't have to accept these programs. In fact, we're here to break the chains. I mean, we're talking about generations and generations of our ancestors that worked really hard to get us to where we're at now. We stand, according to the Native American nations, this is the way they say it, we stand upon the shoulders of our ancestors. And they worked really hard to help us get to where we are now. What are we going to do with that? Are we going to break the chains of the past that, you know, kept us in slavery to some programs? Or are we going to serve some people some food, grow some food, find
houses?
Yeah, build some houses, find our roots again.
Grow some hemp.
And support the next 7 generations.
That's right. If we don't do it now, nobody's going to do it. I heard a figure the other day. It used to be 20 years until we had to make a decision about our carbon footprint. And then it used to be 10 years. And then it was like, well, I just heard a figure that if we don't change in 18 months, we're doomed. We have to make a huge difference right now. We cannot wait for this anymore. And whatever good that you can do in the world, please do it. Because you know what? It's the history and the future of your family, of our children, of the people that we love. It's up to us. Nobody's going to do it for us. I mean, a lot of people are waiting around for, you know, I don't know, maybe a robot to come and save us. But those robots are part of a program too. And it depends on how we program them and if they're going to help us or not. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
No, absolutely.
So, you know, we have a solution. We have a plan. We're doing it. Nobody can stop us. And we need all the help that we can get in the world. You can go to our website and you can see a very basic outline of what we're doing right now. And the campaign that we're on, we're committed to helping create housing, not just housing, but healthy housing for people, you know, healthy communities, you know, healing villages where people can come, like you said, Aeon, and be healed, you know, and it's not, I mean, we all need healing in this life. We've all stepped into a very toxic and scary environment. It's up to us whether we're going to overcome this or not. I mean, we're supernatural. We are. Supernatural is not unnatural. It's just supernatural. So we want to think, right, exactly. We think of a miracle coming to save us, but the truth is we're here to save ourselves. And we are
the Avengers.
That's right.
We are. That's really what it is.
We can do it.
Now, I wanted to say, you know, again, it's everything is about perception. It's such a a malleable thing, but people don't know how malleable it is. They don't know they can change it whenever they want, for their own benefit and for the benefit of the overall biodome. And, there's this old kind of this old program to take from your words, that so many people have this feeling of, what can I do? What can little old me, what can I, one person, what is my little action going to help? And that is, again, another, really bad idea and bad, program to place to start from when thinking about or talking about doing and helping and being a part of, because every little bit certainly does help and does count and does affect change and does have resonance for vast distances, miles, and vast years to come as well. And so, again, perception, I think, self-perception, perception as part of community and part of species and part of planet and part of solar system and part of universe and so on. All of these perceptions need to be kind of brought back into sacred harmony.
Oh,
Totally agreed.
sure.
And as we bring them into sacred harmony, we develop our new civilizations.
Yes,
and it's civil. That is the first part of that word. It's civil. What does civil mean? It means basically acting in kind to your neighbor. Always acting in kind. And in kind has always been an amazing thing for me. It's like, what is that? What is that? In kind. To be in kind to someone. What is it to just be kind to someone? Does that mean I give them a smile? Does that mean I give them $2? Does that mean I share some wisdom? Does that mean I give them an up? I give them an offer. I say, hey, I got a job. You need some work? What is in kind? But in kind really is about just being civil, just recognizing another human being wherever they are and saying, I'm there too. And even if I'm not there, like right where they're at, I've been there. And even if I haven't been there, I've been there. I've still been someplace where they are that I can see in their eyes or their clothes or their stature or their personality or their whatever. And acting in kind means I'm not going to put you down. I'm not going to think bad thoughts. I'm not going to do anything other than act very much in resonance with you right now because you're in my presence. And this minute will pass, but this minute can never be lost. And the way this minute never gets lost is by simply offering kindness to another when they come into your path. And that's a huge thing, just simply saying hello, just simply asking, how's your day? Just simply recognizing a tear and giving one moment of my life, which I never give back, to them. And that's really where we're trying to come back to in this civilization. Because in this civilization, 90% of the people walk on by. 90% of the people think it's a joke. They think it's a scam. And granted, there are a lot of scammers out there sitting on the corner asking for food or asking for help when they've got a Mercedes in their backyard. That's the truth. And that's a game. But that game was created out of the same sickness that created the problem. So it's not a real thing. It's just something that simply happened because of our way of thinking. The way we look at our world as a whole is the way we look at our world in part, which is our, 100 people or our 5 people that we have surrounding us. Whatever that thing is, we call it society. And I'll say it, society is bullshit today. Society isn't a real thing. Society is memes and gifs and jokes and play.
And Kardashians and
all that.
Nonsense.
And the press will push it the hardest they can. And they're the most highly funded corporation in this world right now. The press.
That's the control
are funded
system.
And they have more money than any of us to do anything. And all they do is go capture a single picture, and then they go, oh, that's a huge story. And somebody gives them $100,000 to push it forward. And that's a real thing. But if you gave me $100,000, I guarantee you I'd feed 100 people and put 100 people in homes. And that's a real thing. So that's what we're trying to shift. We're trying to shift this global matrix that feeds the full and change it into feeding the hungry. Because when you're really talking about the hungry, that means I haven't eaten for 3 days. That means I have no water or no source for water. That means I have no hope. That's a huge thing. That's what we're talking about. Shift that money over into those people who have been left behind and give them hope in a way that is not just hopeless. It's not just about, oh yeah, I helped that guy out and he went over there and did this thing and blah, blah, blah. No, it's about helping that guy out and then showing up tomorrow and saying, how'd you do? And sitting with that brother or that sister and say, how'd you do? And they'll come back. And I've sat with so many. I can't even count how many people I've sat with on the streets, how many people I've sat with in their homes, how many people I've sat with on the phone and asked them, how'd you do? And they will tell you, I did all right. I showed up. I did everything they told me to, but then they were like, blah, blah, blah. And then they're disheartened. And that's where we want to break away from that. Because in this world, we have so many people that are operating at a day-to-day basis. And to me, it's just another addiction. They're operating according to status quo. So their job tells them they have to do this, they have to do that, and that's the protocol and blah, blah, blah. And anybody who shows up less than that is fired. In reality, it takes time to learn a skill. It takes time to be good at a trade. It takes time to develop a career. All these things take time. And the typical time for that is 100 hours invested in something to where you know it well enough to teach somebody else. 100 fucking hours. Sorry for my language. But it takes 100 hours.
Yeah.
And I'm in construction right now. I build houses for a living. And I know it takes more than 100 hours to build a house.
Oh, yes.
Right. Now, I've walked into $1 million houses and been downstairs in the basement talking to the contractor and leaned against a wall and had a crack on me. So that means the guy that built that wall didn't know what he was doing.
Yep.
Yet he was still hired and paid well and left the job. And that's what we want to break. We want to break this habit of doing less for more. We want to break this habit of people showing up at your door to do a job and actually completing the job to the best of their ability and actually having some kind of recourse in that if they don't have the ability to complete the job, to have somebody else to step in that service industry and say, okay, they didn't have enough skill. And in this world, we don't have that. We don't even have a measure for that. You know, if somebody shows up, they do a job, they do it wrong, they do it bad, blah, blah, blah. They hire somebody else, or they're left in defunct. They're left with a less than par, you know.
Finished product.
Yes. And that's all part of the same civilization thing that we're talking about. It's about this thing that was created about 100 years ago, where people were educated in a certain way. And I'll just say this very shortly and succinct. They were educated in a certain way, and basically that was an education from a father or a mentor or whatever that said, this is the way you do a thing. If you do a thing like this, it will move forward and you'll be fine. In fact, in some cases, because the people that were being presented with this thing were less educated, so then they didn't know that they were receiving less than par service. They just didn't know. They didn't know that their house was being built with asbestos. They didn't know that these things were happening in their world, where they would eventually experience health consequences because of the practices. They didn't know this. They had no idea. But the educated who are running through these Ivy Leagues showed up and said, yo, this is the way it is. It's all good. And we can do this. And then, oh, here you go. You got a beautiful house. And then they're sick. And they're dying. And they're cancerous. And they think that's just part of the world. And we want to shift that. We want to shift that to such a way that every single person that moves into a home is completely supported in their home, which means their home is a healthy environment. It is resonant to their being. It's not ever going to send a countercharge into their body that will ever affect them in any way. We want to also allow them to walk out into their backyard, into a garden where they're picking their own food, where they're so fully supplied with their own energy, and their water is pure, and all that. We have all that technology today. We have the ability to completely provide any human being on this planet with every single thing they need to live, period. No guessing, no wonder, no as ifs. It's a fact. We can provide every single being on this planet with food, water, shelter, and a well-living life.
Well said. Well said.
Sure.
Well said, brother.
I'd like to invite everybody to check out the work that we're doing and can you hear me?
Yes, please. I was going to say to provide the website information. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Check out the website and the film work that we're doing. We're creating a series based around these premises that we're sharing with you today, that, you know, everybody is of unlimited benefit to our society, to one another, that we're all neighbors with one another. And it's called Superstars from the Streets. You can see the first 3 segments that we produced over the past couple of months online. Just go to our website. It's lifespringsglobal.com. It's life, L-I-F-E, springs, plural, S-P-R-I-N-G-S, global, global.com. And consider making a donation to the work that we're doing. The more you give, the more you get in this world. And whatever goes around comes around is our slogan. So please help us to help each other. You know, we all need help in this world. And, you know, if you donate as little as $2, you can take that off of your taxes. That's a tax deduction. And, you know, they say that the easiest thing to give when you have money is money. And so please make it easy and help us to help each other. And we'll give you credit for that. We'll love to reward you with all sorts of gifts when we come out with our new line of food called So Beyond Organic. We want to send you guys samples and boxes of food every week, every month. And we'll have a subscription service that we'll set up soon. Please follow us on all the different media sources, Facebook, Instagram. It's Life Springs Global. And we really appreciate all the help that you can give us, not just financially, you know, with your energy. And please talk to people, talk to your neighbors about what we're doing. And, you know, whatever you can do, share your voice, share your energy. We'll be building houses in your community soon. So help us to help you.
That's fantastic, Brother Kevin. Thank you. You guys are, as I knew before getting on the call without really knowing too much of the details, I knew that you're working on something very special, and indeed you are. And I hope that this podcast and its energy and its intention makes its way and permeates society and finds itself in the presence of the right ears and the right minds and the right hearts to spur and ignite spirit to do things, to help, to be a part of, to donate whatever little possible. Everything helps. To consider and to think about how one may be able to reach out, connect with brothers Kevin and Aeon, and integrate the program and the model in whatever state, city, country you may live in. These things are all possible, and I definitely also look forward to maybe doing a follow-up on this soon, to follow along, where the docu-series is going, and also the evolution of the program, and to get more of the details of the work part of the program and things like that, the things that weren't able to be touched upon today. We should definitely set a date and come back and get back on the horn maybe in a couple months and see where things are at. And I am definitely going to provide links for you guys, for your website, and any other links that you want me to put out there for people. I will do that. Again, that's lifespringsglobal.com to check out the work that brothers Kevin and Aeon are doing right now. And gentlemen, I thank you deeply. I'm honored to have shared this space and time with you, and these words and these ideas and these intentions, and to get them out to the world. So humbly, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
Peace and love, brother.
You as well. Peace and love, gentlemen. Thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Wonderful show, wonderful podcast. Always a pleasure to speak with Brother Aeon, and very, very nice as well to be meeting with and speaking with Brother Kevin today. I mean, man, there's just there's a lot in there, a lot that is. It's not just as simple as a topic of houselessness. Really, there is such an important situation there, really, to be put under the microscope, which is perception of self, perception of others, perception of situations and things like that. So, and this is all part of emotional development, emotional growth, emotional intelligence, understanding, empathy, and these things, which, are definitely much easier to attain through experience. I mean, that's really the best way. So if there are experiences that you just haven't had, whether through just happenstance, or more often than not, it's due to, one blocking oneself off to certain situations due to preconceived notions and perceptions, and not allowing life to be organic, and in doing that, you really cut yourself off from a lot. You really do yourself a disservice. Allowing life to unfold organically truly provides the most enriching experience and leaves you, the most profoundly changed for the better every time, if you choose to live that way and with that intention of wanting to experience all that life has to offer, and all all of the information that life has to give you in order to better see and better understand what this really all is, and what we are, and what the purposes are, and what our powers are. So great. Another one in the books, and I thank you very much for listening and for being here. Once again, I am your host, The Wordsmith, and this has been another episode of the Fate.org podcast. It was fate, and that's a fact, ladies and gentlemen. When it's all said and done, and everyone realizes that everything I've been trying to tell you for many years was on point, as it has been unfolding for the last decade plus, and will continue to do so. And as you have your realizations on a lot of the topics that are discussed on my show, on my website, the fact that you are coming to these things, the fact that you're having these new ideas come to you and kind of expand your awareness, I can only say one thing about these things happening, and that is that it, in fact, was fate. It was fate. Ladies and gentlemen, peace and love. Thank you for joining us today. I hope to have you next time listening once again to the podcast. Take care. Much love. Do your part. Thank you. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Another fantastic episode of the Fate.org podcast. Now in the bags. Definitely a lot to think about. A lot of good points made there. A lot of good thoughts and ideas surrounding perception and surrounding the problem of houselessness and the solutions put forth. All great opportunities for thought and growth, opportunities for action. Get involved if you'd like. In the description below, you will find links to the work being done presently by Brothers Aeon and Brother Kevin. Feel free to take a little dive into that. Donate if you'd like, or depending on where you are and what you have going on in your neck of the woods, maybe you want to get involved in a deeper way in the unfolding of the project, or in the transmutation of it to your hometown. As always, please do me a big favor. It's really just about the only thing that I ask that you do for me to help the cause, the movement. Please like the videos, share, definitely rate the podcast on iTunes, on Google Play, on iHeartRadio, wherever you're listening to me, Stitcher, TuneIn. Please rate, share, help me gain a base, help me gain a wider base so that we can really start expanding the consciousness of the people here. Lots of exciting news coming your way. Any day now, I'm going to be dropping a new line of jewelry by Fate.org. So So get ready for that. Very exciting, very exciting. Can't give away too much, but you're going to love it. So please, again, like, share, comment, be engaged. You know, help. I need your help to turn this into something great, because, you know, this is all phase one for me, really. And for fate.org, this is phase one. The things that we aim to do are just massive. So without any further ado, I'm going to leave you with some parting words here that I feel are really apropos at this time, based on, you know, the content of this podcast. And I don't know how many of you know, if I've ever said this before, but I am a spoken word poet. Award-winning, actually. I've done a number of slams in my day, and I have won some slams. So anyway, here's a piece that I did. It was done many, many years ago. I was sitting in an airport, and you know, I had this experience where this guy came in. Well, all right. I sat down in the Starbucks. This is actually in Orlando Airport, where the inside is like there's a hotel and there's, you know, stores and such. And I went to the Starbucks and I wanted to write, and I sat down. I took out my marble notebook and I creased the page in the middle so that it wouldn't be, you know, encumbersome. And I sat there for about 40 minutes with a blank page and nothing to write, and just staring at it. And I had no content. And I saw this guy come in. He had kind of, you know, raggedy looking a little bit, but not too much. And he just kind of meandered off into the corner and sat there by himself at a table. And about another half an hour went by, and I guess it took him that time to kind of muster up the courage or whatever he needed to come and ask me. And he came over and he said, "Excuse me, you know, sir, I'm really sorry to bother you." He said, "Do you think you'd be able to help me, you know, with 50 cents so I can get a cup of coffee?" And with that, I handed him $1. And at the moment that he took that $1 from my hand, this entire piece came to me. And I just furiously hit the paper with the pen and wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote. And 20 minutes later, it was done. It just poured right out. Boom. And what it was, you know, putting a story to this person who's in this situation, you know, because oftentimes we are very quick to judge people and, you know, how, you know, regarding their circumstances and why they might be there, and we come to conclusions, and they're often wrong and based in stereotype and different, you know, shortcomings of our collective communal consciousness, at least for sure here in America. So anyway, this whole piece just came to me, and so it's very befitting of our topic today. So I'm just going to end our time today with that piece, and the title of it is $1. All right, so take a listen, and we will catch you next time here on the Fate.org podcast. I am the Wordsmith, your host, coming at you every time, bringing facts, bringing knowledge, bringing consciousness, raising your vibration, so that we can collectively make this place a little bit better for all of us. You know what I'm saying? So much peace, much love, and I'll talk to y'all soon. Peace.
You see him in your path from a mile away. You think you know a story and what he's going to say, so you decide to turn and look the other way because that poor guy caught you on the wrong day. And as you pass his broken down, rag-wearing ass, his hand climbs to about half-mast, but not so fast. You won't catch me like those last few chumps to pass who reached into their pocket stash and donated coinage towards your next bag of hash. Shit, I need money too. I mean, I owe 50 to the library and my rent is due. I mean, I'm leaving for Cancun next week and my dog's got the flu. And just when you think you know your P's and Q's, all of a sudden you hear, "Hey, buddy, God bless you." All of a sudden in your mind you freeze, because you replayed and see that he's down on his knees, and not once did he ask or beg or say please. He just gave you a blessing with the greatest of ease. You realize your ignorance is a viral disease, and after debate inside your inner space, you stop in desire to try and save face. So you probe into his life to understand his present strife, and well, here's what you find. Apparently he was outstanding in high school and went on to higher school and was doing all right till the funds got low. He couldn't afford it no more. So he wanted to make his life a little better, joined the army, became a Vietnam veteran, and when he came back, he was more mistreated than he had ever been. So one day he happened to bump into love's door and found a woman who loved him and would forevermore. Well, they got married and had some kids to adore. He said it was the first time he could escape his plaguing thoughts of the war. And then one day his wife for life left him because he got fired from his job. And he got fired from his job because his wife left him. How does that work? Well, you see, for years his boss had an eye for his precious Dawn, right? And in an effort to pursue her, hired him as a pawn. And then one day when their relationship was looking kind of iffy, boss man called him into the office and fed his unsuspecting ass a stiffy. So now, no more honeykins because hubby's boss man's where the money is. Isn't it fucked up how funny life is? So he said they're mine and she said they're my kids. So there he is. No wife, no job, the kids are gone, and his nightmares from Nam have all come back. And they repossessed his apartment at that. So this brings us to where he's currently at. See, now we understand the complexity of his hand. He was dealt the worst cards in the deck, forced to play and lose, but still deserves respect, for he is a man. And as you proceed to roam this land as free as a man can, because a man should be as free to roam as can this land, and with your Friday dinners at Fridays, or your spring break waiting for waves in the wake, or your hourly pit stops at those stock pots called Starbucks where your cell phone chimes, or you just drop the line to call your boy and just holla. But you weren't going to stop and make someone's day by giving your heart in the form of $1? Look, you don't have to listen to me, but never forget, that penniless, broken, yet still genuine soul could have been your father.